Welcome to a special Radio Radio X video interview. I am your host, Justin Smulison, proud contributor here at Radio Radio X. I am delighted to present an interview with Mark Mangold of Keys. Their new album is The Grand Seduction, and it is a wild album full of, you guessed it, keyboards, vocals, and drums. Nothing else. Even if you think that you heard guitar on it, you're wrong. So Mark and I are going to talk all about it. Mark has a wonderful career in rock and pop, having played for groups such as Touch and Drive, She Said, as well as for Michael Bolton and Cher. So he linked up with Swedish metal singer Jake E. from Cyhra, and they produced this really wild album that has elements of rock and prog all throughout it. It's wild. I love it. The Grand Seduction is available through Deco Music in the US and Escape Music in the EU. Links are on this interview's notes. So we're going to talk all about this album and what it was like for Mark to come up as a New York musician. So I can't wait to share it with the Radio Radio X audience. Let's get to it. Please welcome Mark Mangold of Keys. Right? There's two keys. There's several keys, but one of the lead keys, if not the lead key, Mr. Mark Mangold. Fellow New Yorker, how are you?
Hello. How you doing?
Very good, very good. We were chatting before we were rolling, and we've got a little bit in common, right? You're a Long Islander?
Yes. Right now we're in Florida. I was raised in Florida, but I spent a lot of time in good old Atlantic Beach.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. I got married over there at the Sands Atlantic Beach. So
what year was that?
Oh, that was 2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were probably playing out there when I was born. I'm born in 81.
Yeah, I was a lifeguard out there for many years too. So just if the water got too rough, we just said there were sharks, and everybody came out. So
everybody just closed down. Were you a musician at the same time you were presumably a teenage lifeguard?
Yeah. I've been playing, since a young age.
Since your whole life, yeah. That's great. So you've got...
I started out on drums in a band called the Student Kings in high school. And then I just really became enamored with the organ and the Hammond organ.
Yeah.
And then I finally got a C3 Hammond organ, and that was it. And that was very popular at the time. And the thing about Long Island, Long Beach, that whole area, there was a place called the Action House that evolved into other clubs, but the Rascals used to play there, Vanilla Fudge. It was their resident club. I used to be in a band called Gathering Storm. We used to play there. So it was a huge Hammond organ venue. The Vagrants played there all the time. The Illusions, those very cool Hammondy bands.
Yeah.
Lee Michaels, I saw him there a couple of times, but mostly it was the Rascals and Vanilla Fudge. So it was a great place to grow up. It was 10 minutes from my house, especially if you were into the organ.
Yeah. And from what I've read about you, you're a big Jimmy Smith fan.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of his remasters on Blue Note, and they are fantastic. That actually got me into jazz. Those albums, back to the
all those guys. Anybody who's playing Hammond is got to be deeply into Jimmy Smith. I mean, he's like the mother source.
Yeah.
Of that sound and of just the way you do it. And he's just a master.
That's it. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. What was that like?
I was young. I must have been 14. I used to sneak into the city. He used to play at the Village Gate.
Oh, okay. We're going way back now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would, take the train into the city and go to the Village Gate and watch him. And God, I must have been 15 or 16. And I snuck kind of backstage, and I said, Mr. Smith, how do you get that sound? It was magic how he, configured these sliders on the organ.
Yeah.
And he said, young man, you got to caress it like a tit.
Okay.
That was my education in the technical aspects of the Hammond organ. I actually did a Hammond record, and I called it Caress. So,
and there it is.
those jazz guys, they were just the coolest.
Yeah.
They reeked of coolness, and
Yeah.
Jimmy Smith was a very, very cool guy.
That's wild. And like a lot of Long Islanders, you migrate to Florida during the winter.
Not quite that. I was
not as much. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like a couple of years ago, we moved down here because family's here.
Yeah.
I still have my place in New York, but no, it's just been recently that I've been in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got Keys, and this is the second Keys album?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. And you're with Jakey, who a lot of folks know from Cyhra. And I've read about
Amaranth, probably.
Yeah, and them too as well.
I mean, they
have
were
three singers.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was the approach this time for the sophomore album?
Well, we got more into emulated guitars. Some of the great inventions, as keyboard players, were victim to the inventions. There was the organ, and then, ARP strings came around, and then monophonic synthesizers, the Moog, the ARP, which had one note. And as things got invented, like the clavinet, which, Stevie Wonder made very popular with Superstition, and the ARP strings, Gary Wright made very popular with Dreamweaver. So it's been like, an evolution of technology. And now they have really come up with an amazing guitar emulators for the keyboards. So we're really into that. And, if you hear a guitar solo, it's not. And if you're hearing like a power chord, it's not. So I was able to really explore, I think like a guitar anyway with all the bands I've been in. So we really got deeply into that. So that was a lot of fun, more so than on the first record, which had some of it. But this one is way into it.
You double down on it.
Yeah, we're working on the third. So when you said how many albums have we had, I kind of forgot. We're deeply into the third album.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so which is also going to have a lot of that. But the thing about the guitar thing that's created is it's like every guitar player has a different sounds, and people recognize the difference between Eric Clapton and, I don't know, Stevie Ray Vaughan or whoever. And the emulators have their own sound, so it's not like a generic guitar like so many of these new bands, especially these heavy bands. You almost can't tell the difference of who's playing. There's not that distinction in sound anymore like there used to be with Hendrix and Clapton and I don't know, Steve Vai, and who am I thinking of? Jeff Beck. So I like that about the keyboard side of it because it has, what is that? Is that a good, so sometimes we get extremely authentic and sometimes we can do shit that you can't really do in a guitar. So it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. My favorite track is the penultimate track. It's called Thought We Had Forever. I think that's a great song.
Oh my God.
You like that one too?
Well, no, it's still commercial, so you're into the commercial.
Well,
yes,
it's got that great chorus and they're holding the notes when they're singing it. So it's not, I mean, I guess in this case, that's the one I'm into the most.
Right? No, I'm not. I'm
not
it's okay.
No,
I love that, and that's why we put it on the record because, Grand Seduction is a 9-minute song, so a lot of them are very ambitious, and really not limiting ourselves with formula or structure. So, What We Had Forever is one of those. But for me, and I don't think people really get into the lyrics. These songs are so much about the lyric.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a very current lyric.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of to people who might have passed, and I thought we had forever. So the point being, time is precious and value it,
Absolutely. But, in the blink of an eye.
What?
These are very straight ahead lyrics, but they are you can find different depth in them if you want. That's what makes it subjective.
Yeah.
But that one really stood out. I guess also because it's toward the end of the album. I still listen to things from front to back. I'm gonna guess that you do as well. And yeah. And in the beginning of the song, there's I guess a recorded conversation between you and Jake. I'm assuming that's Jake. And,
yes.
And you're talking about how you wanna leave a lasting memory on the album. And at the very end of that conversation, does he say, "I gotta go to IKEA"?
Yes. You know, a lot of Europeans, my wife is Swedish as well, they speak 3 or 4 languages. You know, we're from Atlantic Beach and Oceanside. We're fucking idiots. I mean, we speak, I don't know how many you speak. I'm pretty much, English.
I speak one, and then the accent comes out a little bit more if I go to see my grandmother in Brooklyn. That's about it. That's all I got.
What accent is that? Yiddish?
No, it's like a weird old Brooklyn accent that it just comes out more when I'm with other Brooklyners. Yeah.
That's English, so okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jake speaks French, Swedish, English, better than I do. And there's another one, maybe German as well. And of course, they then understand Norwegian and Finnish, which are kind of close. It's kind of the difference between New Jersey and New York, maybe. And then he started speaking in Swedish and singing in Swedish. I was like, shit, this would be awesome in Swedish.
Yeah.
But we ended up doing it in English.
And when you have a song like that, do you ever give direction? Just say, hold that note a little bit, accentuate here and there, or do you let the singer do his or her thing?
Well, it depends on the singer, but with Jake, he's a genius. I mean, he writes amazing stuff. If I could write as good as he does, he has a certain, especially with the American Cyhra, he has a sound to what he does that I just love, and I get deeply into. So, and I do rough vocals when I give them to him. He's not coming from nowhere. I mean, he has a kind of a template to work off. But no, not really.
You just say, do your thing.
Yeah. I mean, if I have an idea, once in a while there'll be like a Swedish accent, which and he always asks me to correct him on that, try to make it more American. There's certain syllables that Swedes, say differently, like the. Sometimes it becomes duh.
Oh, okay.
Or don't laugh. You can't laugh. Don't want to piss anybody off.
Nah, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm kidding. But so we spent a little time on that, but by now, I mean, he's got it down. And also being Swedish, he wasn't that into blues and blues licks. So we got deep into, just listen to one Chaka Khan song and you'll have every blues lick you'll ever need to know for anything. So he's been getting, all that pentatonic stuff. So he's been getting deeply into that and is very appreciative of that, opening his eyes to that in a way. So.
Yeah, you can hear it. He's not doing the same thing that he did on, what's the newest album, Vertigo Trigger. He's doing something different, and he's maybe tapping into a different bag of tricks, let's just say.
I love Vertigo Trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, I fucking, and I listened to that stuff and it's like, how does he think that way? And after a while, some of the stuff in the new record is very Cyhra and very Amaranth. What's cool about it is, besides the lyrics, is it's all played on keyboards.
Yeah.
So it has a different vibe. But one or two of these new songs, we have a new song, Message from the Void. We have a song called Catapult, that are more into that. I don't know if you know the label Napalm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
I
mean, it's more of those Napalm bands. I love the band Ad Infinitum. Of course, Cyhra. So, and our drummer, Alex Landenberg, who plays
Hmm.
on most of our stuff, is in Camelot. So,
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah, so Alex brings some of that to it as well. So a couple of the new ones are kind of channeling that vibe as well.
You're talking about for the third album that's
For
coming
the
out.
third album.
Yeah. Because those songs aren't on the new one.
No, you're
And
not going to hear that.
yeah, not yet. So is it tougher to tour? Can you tour on these albums? Have you toured yet?
No, we haven't toured. It's a very expensive proposition because, and that's a problem because there's 3 keyboard players.
Yeah.
3 stacks of keyboards. I mean, that's the dream. There's 3 stacks of keyboards. Everybody's got synths. So we're, it's all emulated from that with Jake in the middle singing his ass off.
Right.
So, we're not an opening act really,
Yeah. No, you gotta be.
And we have some people lined up to do it, but we definitely need an invitation and a big budget. So we're trying to do it all in videos right now. We put out a lot of videos and really up the name and up the vibe of the band.
Yeah.
So hopefully at some point we can get invited to do that because it's an ambitious. We need a sound check. It's not a festival thing where you get up and you hope for the best, that the sound engineer's got his shit together.
Right.
Which doesn't always happen. So, yeah, it would be great. We'd love to do it.
And when you play New York, when you're here, do you ever still play New York or Long Island?
No, I haven't played in a long time.
Oh, no? Okay.
I mean, I was in a band called Touch, and we just played in Manchester in October at the Firefest Festival, which was a lot of fun. And we had a reunion with Touch after 40 years or so. Hold on. With the original band up to a point, and then our bass player had to bow out, so we got a guy from Long Island named Rob DiMartino.
Okay.
He was a great bass player. There's a club, he plays with Bobby Rondinelli, Randy Jackson, Rob DiMartino, George Cintron. These are all the iconic Long Island rockers.
Okay.
Have you heard of the band Zebra?
I know of them, yeah. They've been doing a lot of special one-off shows.
Yeah.
And,
so that's Randy Jackson. And Rondinelli was with Black Sabbath. So Rob plays with these guys like every week at some club on Long Island. So
yeah.
So he very fortunate that he came in and helped us out with Touch, and he sings very well. So we put on a show in Manchester. It was pretty cool.
Could you ever do a Songs of Mark Mangold set or show? Would you do that? Would you do that locally?
I would. I've thought about that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Do Fool's Game. We do I Found Someone. We do that kind of stuff. But again, it's about demand and putting together a band, a great band, and finding the singer. I mean, I don't think I would want to sing. For me, it would be, we'd have 3 or 4 great singers. We'd get, Terry Brock and, a bunch of these guys, and everybody would sing a different song. And it would be a whole, medley of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be like a showcase, basically, yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. But
Yeah.
again, it's about supply and demand and getting somebody to want to do that. So.
That's cool. All right, well, hopefully maybe that's on the bucket list for Mark Mangold, the Songs of Mark Mangold.
The unknown songs of
The unknown songs of Mark Mangold. But you work with some huge names. You work with Cher and Michael Bolton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever hear from them? Do they ever lend their support to some other projects that you've done?
I hear from Michael. I don't hear from Cher at all.
Okay. She might be busy.
God bless her. Yes, she probably is.
Yeah.
I met her a couple of times. And an amazing lady that I thank profusely for everything she did for me. I talk to Michael once in a while.
Yeah. I feel like people have come around on Michael Bolton a little bit more. And you see more tribute albums to Michael Bolton that are heavier and maybe a little bit more fun. I saw a tribute album, I think it was on Frontiers, that was like the heavier. They did it. They're doing it in a heavier AOR type style.
They went to his early.
Yeah.
Early rock and roll days, which is when we were mostly working together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as heavy as Michael's records. I mean, if you really compare Michael's, Crazy. What's the name of the song?
Everybody's Crazy.
Everybody Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Fool's Game, and and those that was produced by Neil Kernan, but that was a pretty heavy record. Yeah. And I know that Frontiers was trying to get Michael to do something, which didn't happen. So they did the next best thing, and they just did a lot of his songs with various of the great, singers that are around now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great singers around now.
Yeah.
So that was very cool.
That's cool. Now, also, I was wondering, and I don't want to talk too much.
Let me just say,
yeah.
Michael's touring now. I think he's playing in Florida near me in the end of January. So he is, he's doing his more modern Blue-Eyed Soul stuff. But as I understand it, he's out there now, gigging. So
that's cool. Maybe he brings you out. Never know. If he's going to pass through Florida, he should give his old buddy a call.
Yeah, he should.
Hopefully he's hearing this. I don't want to harp too much on this next part, but I was curious. One of the biggest rock songs ever is "Jump" by Van Halen, and when people heard that, it blew some folks' minds. Did that change the game for you in the way of keys and keyboards?
Not really.
No.
I mean, that song. You weren't there at the time, but it was a popular sound at the time. That choppy, I mean, it had been done. And of course, Van Halen's great and they made a huge hit out of it. But it's kind of a synthesizer stab that, I don't know that, it changed the game.
Okay.
That much, but it was, of course, a hit song and very cool and blah, blah, blah. But, there are thousands of sounds. That's what's great about the keyboards. I mean, you can dial up an elephant sound. You can dial up a timpani.
Really?
Yeah. So that's kind of what makes it limitless in a way. Mm-hmm. So you're relying on your creativity instead of taking a right turn into a chorus or a bridge. You might want to go into change the time and do some weird kind of synth solo with any number of sounds that you can choose from. We had, American Tears had a song called Tusk where we really got into elephant screams and French horns. So it really opens your head, which I love because that's my wife walking in the background.
Yeah, it's okay. She's cool.
Which I love because you're not limited to your instrument like a guitar. What am I going to do next? But also, it requires you or allows you to be more creative. So, and I wish more people did it. I wish more people.
Yeah.
She's bending down now. I wish more people would do an 8-minute song and really tax their creativity. And if they want to jump into a 6-part harmony on whatever, do it, as opposed to so much formula, which I think has really gotten to kill, this business. It's become a genre. I don't know about the business, but kill the creativity of the music. It's become a genre. And when we were originally doing it, it wasn't a genre. It was all these bands from Yes to whoever, Procol Harum, Jethro Tull, Touch. We were looking for our own sound. We were looking for our signature sound. Whereas now these bands, are chasing an era, chasing a sound and trying to sound like those bands. So it's like, oh God, I've heard that 1,000 times already. Right. How many times can I hear the chorus of whatever song, some foreigner song? It's like, try to come up with something new, So.
Yeah. How do you, do you agonize over a song a lot? Are there some that just take a really long time and others that just flow out of you, or is it pretty smooth?
Agony is not the word at all.
Oh no.
No, it's not even. It's just all fun and it comes
Okay.
out. And somehow, and maybe you can tell just by the nature of the music, we're confident in a way because we trust ourselves.
Yeah.
But also, it's fuck it, it's rock and roll, and we're just if we like it, we hope. We don't know.
Yeah.
When we did Grand Seduction and All I Need, it's like I don't know. You don't even think about the response really. You just try to make it great and as good as you can make it, and Jake sings his ass off and try to make the best guitar solo ish, followed by an organ solo, followed by a synth solo, followed by 30 seconds of a symphony orchestra, followed by a drum solo, and just hope, people along for the ride because it's a journey. It really is. We kind of, I think, create little, you know, um, journeys for the ear in a way
Yeah, sure.
with surprises and just not, okay, well, you don't know what's going to come next. So we like that aspect of it, but it's just blind stupidity. We just do what we want to do.
Excellent. So it sounds like you're going to be, well, like you said, you've got some maybe heavier elements on the follow-up, but it sounds like you're going to dive a little deeper into these fun elements of performing and producing it.
I don't know. It's all of the above. It just happens.
Yeah.
And if you like it, I mean, we have one song that is just, it's a beautiful song. It's just voice and this lush tapestry of synthesizers.
All right.
Beautiful world. And it's just Jake's voice and this heavenly shit. And there's no time. That you can't put a click to it. There's no time in it. So he's singing sporadically out of time, and the keyboard player is following him in the moment. So it's very in the moment. And I don't know. I was going to use the word avant-garde, but not really. It's just pure emotion, really.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the lyric, here's the melody, and just sing it when you want to sing it in the energy and flow that you want to sing it in. So, I don't know. How do I put it? I feel like there's an internal form in things. And what we do as humans is put form into things. And there's a natural universal form that we maybe gravitate towards. And there's maybe a natural universal thing called beauty. So that's kind of what we're trying to achieve. So we really trust the subconscious and we really trust what our instincts are telling us to do. And if you can tap into that and some of our great icons have used drugs to tap into that, but we don't use drugs, but somehow we've developed and are always trying to develop the ability to tap into that channel, that universal kind of channel where, I mean, a lot of these lyrics, they're not intellectual. They just happen. They come into your head.
Yeah.
And you write them down. And therefore the best time to somehow write lyrics, sometimes like lyrics is 6 a.m, where you're half asleep and these phrases bombard you. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? And then you figure it out 6 months later. And they kind of reveal themselves. Oh, that's what that means. So really there's somebody else talking in a way, and it's very often coming from, somebody else. If you talk to creative people, I mean, everybody says that. It's not like
they're a vessel.
Yeah. It's about being a vessel, and you don't want to ignore something because, I mean, this is the way I feel. It's fearful, but it's shit. If I don't run to the piano and notate this, they might not give it to me again. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of respect it.
Yeah.
Even if you're like exhausted, or like, oh, I can't get up, I can't move my legs. You kind of force yourself to, have a little tape recorder.
Yeah. Humming into the phone or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to honor that. And that's, I think, where a lot of this stuff comes from. And some of it is just, again, more intellectual when we're trying to clone a Cyhra or an Amaranth song, it becomes a little more cerebral, and we want it to be this because there's a lot of intention involved.
Yeah.
But a little bit of that channeling, especially in the lyrics too, happens as well.
Excellent. Well, the album is The Grand Seduction. It's the second album from Keys. Mark Mangold is telling us that there's going to be a third album from Keys, which is excellent to hear. And it's been such a pleasure to meet you, from one New Yorker to the other. It's a real pleasure to meet you. And
yeah, same here.
Thank you. I really love this album, and it's one of those albums that
the next album is called Infinity Parabellum.
Ooh,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
speaking of intellectualism,
well, I don't know where did that come. That was just a thing that popped in. Infinity. Well, there's an expression: if you want peace, prepare for war.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what everybody fucking does, is prepares for war. And Infinity Parabellum means infinite preparation for war.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this 9-minute epic called Infinity Parabellum, and so we're kind of doing all the things that I just said of how we write songs. We're deeply into that as well. But excellent. I'm sorry I interrupted your goodbye.
No, that's all right. No, I'm glad you're plugging it for me, so I don't have to look for it later. It's going to be great. I look forward to what you're going to do, especially with Keys and with Jake, because you're bringing out a different side of him. I think is really cool. And please keep doing what you're doing. This is an album I can see myself continually coming back to. So I can only assume that the third one, Infinity Parabellum, will continue that tradition.
Yeah. So go over to Nathan's and get a hot dog, and
I will. They actually they downsized and then they moved up Long Beach Road. But I still take the kids there for the occasional buy one, get one hot dog day.
The original one, the old school Brooklyn-esque.
The Coney Island one?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there.
Well, they used to have one in Oceanside as well.
Yeah.
But now it's all franchises and bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah. It's like a half mile up the road where it used to be. But it's it's a great. I'm glad maybe I'll see you there one day. You never know.
Yeah, I still have my little house in Atlantic Beach. I have a little place, a little shack in Atlantic Beach, so we go out to the beach.
Excellent. So, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled next time I go down there, because I go there frequently enough.
Thanks for having that behind you. It's very cool.
Yeah, you bet. Mark, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Special thanks again to Mark Mangold of Keys for joining us. The new album from Keys is The Grand Seduction. It is available from Deco Music in the US and through Escape Music in the EU. Earlier in the interview, you heard clips of Vortex and Turn to Dust, and now you're hearing a clip of the song that I mentioned during the interview, my favorite, I Thought We Had Forever. And I really love this album. I hope you will too. Be sure to follow Keys on Facebook and check out the links on the interview show notes for more information. And as always, remember to make legitimate purchases of the music, merch, and eventual concert tickets of Keys to support hard-working artists like Mark Mangold. Be sure to head on over to RadioRadioX.com for all things music. We've got reviews, we've got interviews, we've got all sorts of great content. I've got an interview with local drumming favorite Jason Bittner of Shadows Fall and Category 7, and another with powerhouse drummer Sean Duncan of LA Guns. I've also got interviews with John Bush, the singer of Category 7 and Armored Saint, and Flotsam and Jetsam guitarist Michael Gilbert, and more. I'd like to thank Art and Rob and everyone over there at the RadioRadioX headquarters. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and all social channels. And be sure to keep coming back to RadioRadioX.com for more updates. I've got more video interviews on the way as well. I am Justin Smulison, new contributor here at Radio Radio X. Thank you so much for tuning in. There's more on the way.